Hello and welcome. All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the playbook companies use to figure out exactly what you, the customer, actually want. It's this really fascinating mix of psychology, data, and strategy that, believe it or not, shapes almost every product we use. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever picked up a product or seen an ad and just had that weird feeling like, whoa, it's like they're inside my head? Well, I'm here to tell you it is not magic, and it is definitely not a coincidence. It's a very deliberate process, and in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how they do it.
So where does it all begin? Well, every single successful product starts with one absolutely fundamental step: figuring out who you're even talking to. You see, you can't be everything to everybody, so the first and honestly the most critical move is to find your people.
And that process has a name: market segmentation. The core idea is actually brilliantly simple. You take this massive, kind of messy world of consumers, and you slice it into smaller, neater groups of people who share similar needs or interests or priorities. This right here, this is the foundation for everything else that follows.
And what I love about this slide is how it perfectly maps out that strategic flow. You see, you start way over on the left with this huge ocean of general consumer needs and preferences. Then, the first filter you apply is segmentation. That's the grouping part. From there, you have to evaluate which of those groups has real potential before you finally decide on your market position. It's really a funnel of focus, just turning all that noise into one clear target.
So how do you actually do this segmenting? Well, there are tons of ways, but two of the most powerful are demographics and psychographics. Demographics, that's the easy stuff. The what? The observable facts like age or gender. For the BMW Z3 sports car, for example, that's simple: 75% men. But that barely scratches the surface. Psychographics, that's where the magic happens. That tells you the why, the lifestyle, the personality, the values. So it's not just for men, it's for people who crave style, performance, and that feeling of freedom. Now that is a much deeper, more powerful insight.
But here's the thing, and this is really crucial. You can't just slice and dice people into random groups. For a segment to actually be useful, it has to be practical. You've got to be able to measure its size, right? You need to be able to actually access it with your marketing. And of course, it has to be significant enough to be profitable. If you find a group but you can't actually do anything about it, well, then it's just a fun little thought experiment.
Okay, so you've found your people. Now the fun begins. Let's move on. Now you have to create something they're actually going to value. How in the world do you craft an offer that speaks directly to them?
It all boils down to this little formula: the value equation. See, in a customer's mind, value is super simple. It's what they get minus what they have to give. The get part is all the benefits they perceive, both functional, like does this camera take great pictures, and emotional, like does this brand make me feel cool. The give part is the total cost, and I don't just mean the price tag, but also the time and effort it takes to get it and use it.
And this quote from Anthony Woodall just sums it up perfectly. It's all about that perceived difference. If the benefits feel way bigger than the costs, boom, you've created irresistible value. That's the sweet spot every single company is shooting for.
But wait, this is where things get a little more complicated. We love to talk about the customer, right? But a buying decision is almost never made by just one person. So the real question is, who are all the players involved?
Well, to figure this out, companies have to identify everyone involved in what's often called the decision-making unit. A handy acronym to remember it is something like BUDPIO. You've got the person who physically buys it, the person who uses it, the one who actually decides, the one who pays, the influencer whose opinion matters, and sometimes the person who operates it. Just think about a family car. A parent might pay, the kids are major influencers, and maybe both parents decide together. You have to appeal to that entire unit, not just one single person.
So you know who your customer unit is, you've got this great value proposition for them. Now what? Well, now you have to guide them on a journey from being a complete stranger to becoming a loyal fan. And this is where the sales funnel comes into play. And this visual, this is that journey. The sales funnel is basically a roadmap for the path a customer takes. First, you have to attract them, maybe with an interesting blog post or a clever ad. Then you interact with them to start building a little bit of a relationship. The next step is to convert them into a lead, maybe by getting their email address. It's only then that you try to make the sell. But look, it doesn't stop there. The final, absolutely essential step is to retain that customer and turn that one-time buyer into a lifelong fan.
And the really important thing to get here is that a funnel is so much more than just a sales tactic.
When it's designed well, it actually improves the entire business. You get better customer interactions, you can handle more sales, and you get these crystal clear metrics to see exactly what's working and what isn't. It's a system for growth.
All right, we are on the home stretch. We've talked about finding the customer, creating value for them, and guiding them to a purchase. So for our last part, let's connect all this abstract strategy to a real, tangible product that you can actually hold in your hand. So you have all this consumer research. How does that become an actual product? Well, it gets translated into three main buckets of attributes. First, you have the physical things, the size, the packaging, the design. Then you have the functional stuff, price, performance, how easy it is to use. And finally, you have the psychological attributes. That's all about brand perception and how owning this product makes someone feel about themselves. Okay, now this might look super complicated, but I promise the takeaway is simple. Companies use these really sophisticated data tools, like the ones you see here, to make that translation happen. They turn these kind of fuzzy consumer feelings like, I want a car that feels sporty but also classic, into super precise engineering and design specs. It's the hidden science behind the art of making something that you are just going to love.
So, I'm going to leave you with a final thought. The next time you see an ad that seems to read your mind, or you use a product that just feels right, ask yourself, what part of the process am I seeing? Is it some really clever psychographic segmentation, a perfectly balanced value equation, or am I just moving through a brilliantly designed sales funnel? Because now you know it is never an accident.